Assalamu alaikum. You're watching Views and News and I'm Faisal Rahman live from our Islamabad studios. Today we'll be talking about this very interesting debate that is going on regarding the political unrest in the United States of America. As now the FBI has in fact issued a notice and they have said that political unrest is something which could be seen again in the coming days before the 20th, and they've also received some information that there could be unrest in 50 state capitals as well as the Washington DC. Now the House Democrats introduced an article of impeachment against President Trump on Monday for his role in inflaming a mob that attacked the Capitol Hill, in which 5 precious lives were lost, including one of the police officer. Wednesday vote to charge the president with inciting violence against the government of the United States if Vice President Mike Pence refused to strip him of power first. Then talking about storming of the US Capitol was riot and violent attack against the 117th US Congress on January 6, 2021. Carried out by supporters of US President Donald Trump attempt to overturn his defeat in the 2020 presidential election. Furthermore, as I earlier mentioned, that 5 people died during or shortly after the event. 1 was a Capitol Police officer and 4 were among those who stormed the Capitol. 60 Capitol Police officers were injured as well in this very unfortunate incident, of whom 15 were hospitalized. Federal authorities have said that they are bracing for a wave of armed protests in all 50 state capitals and Washington in the days leading up to the inauguration, and that means 17th, 18th, 19th and 20th of January. That isn't that far away. So the reports that have come out shows that there is a high possibility and a very high probability of the Trump supporters, armed Trump supporters, who would be there on the streets, and God knows what they are up to, but most likely something is going to happen, and for that they have called the Reserve Police as well as the other law enforcement agencies to look after the affairs in all the 50 capitals. And interestingly, Mr. Chad, who was the acting head, I would say, of the Homeland Security, is also resigned, and a lot has been going on. People are talking about the impeachment of the president, but as far as the meeting between the vice president and the president is concerned, they have come up with this conclusion that they will assist each other till the 20th, till the day of inauguration, till Joe Biden takes over. But a lot has been happening which has never been witnessed before in the history of the US election, I would say. And if you could see that on your screens, there are mobs which are armed. They have guns, as we all know that during the time of Corona and even prior to that, people were buying weapons left, right and center. And if those weapons come into use, that is going to create a lot of problem, and that is exactly what everybody is talking about. And on top, I'll just give you one example, that Donald Trump, the President of the United States of America, his Twitter account is blocked, but interestingly, that man has the codes of the nuclear weapons. So you can just imagine and do the comparison, and you'll understand how interesting the situation is. To talk about this further, let me introduce you to our panelists. We have with us in our studio on my right is Air Commodore retired Basit Raza Saab, who is a senior analyst. Bhai Saab, thank you so much, sir, for your time. And on the telephone, we'll be talking to Sajid Tarar Saab, who's a Republican leader and also a spokesperson of the party. And on Skype, we've been joined in by Asif Durrani Saab, former ambassador, senior diplomat. Durrani Saab, thank you so much, sir, for your time as well. But let me put the first question to you, Air Commodore Saab. Now, talking about the violence and all what you witnessed on that particular day, when hundreds and thousands of people just stormed into the Capitol Hill, and whatever happened there. I mean, 5 people dying out there, 60 of the police members were injured, and few of them were also picked up because they are believed to be involved in the riots. 2 of them have been removed from their posts, and at least more than a dozen are still under investigation. What exactly is going on? So we used to talk about the polarization or the division within the American society, but this is something unprecedented. We never thought of it and we never even heard of it before. Your take?
Actually, you use the word interesting. I would say it's very disturbing. It's alarming actually, and it's a situation of great distress for anybody who believes in democracy and democratic values. because this was an attack on democratic institutions by no one other than President of the United States, who is the high priest of democratic principles and enforcement of democracy across the world. So, this was disturbing. Now, coming to the fact of the matter is that Trump is a maverick president who actually came by a storm. Out of blue he emerged, and his boisterous and ludicrous declarations, people didn't take him seriously when he appeared on the political map. But he actually sort of trumped all the prophecies of political pundits by beating all his rivals on the Republican Party's platform and then winning the presidency. And since that day, his promises and all things, people thought that these are just election gimmicks, and once he takes over as the presidency will change him. But what we saw is that actually he changed the US presidency. And this violence had been in making, because Trump, ever since he lost the election, he never accepted, and his supporters, who are more white supremacist, they are behind him. And you know, he is unfortunate, or let us say fortunate in certain ways. He lost election only because of mail-in voting, because Trump's loyalists were die-hard. They would have come out even if it was snowing, it was freezing, they would have come out. But the Biden supporters would not have gone to that limit, because they were not that highly motivated and charged.
That's the factor of coronavirus as well. Sir.
Exactly. But this actually changed everything, and he lost, and that's why he couldn't accept it. And he was able to convince his followers, who were rebellious and very vocal and very sort of bellicose in their approach. So they believed that the election has been snatched from them. He convinced them, and that's why they came out in that number. And you must have heard their interviews, these guys who are storming the Capitol. They were saying that you snatched this election from us, and that's why we are here, because you are cheating, you are sort of destroying. So this is all, and Faisal, just see that Trump is one person, but there is a whole party, Republican Party, and in that party there must have been a lot of upholders of democratic principles.
Absolutely.
But not a voice was raised. All 4 years of Trump's presidency, nobody raised a finger. And even when Biden won the election, nobody could dare to congratulate him. Nobody out of Republican Party had the courage to congratulate him, which is a democratic US principle. Whenever they see that the guy has secured enough electoral college votes, they start congratulating him. Even the candidate, the losing candidate, he congratulates the US presidents. But they didn't budge, nobody spoke, because he had sort of benumbed their senses.
He had made up his mind.
Exactly.
Much before the election was held.
That's true.
That if I lose, this is what is going to happen.
Exactly. And Faisal, you must have been watching this situation. The only time that Republican Party broke ranks was on 1st January, when they trumped his veto. They sort of cancelled his veto. Senate has majority of Republicans, but they sort of cancelled the veto. Trump has vetoed the defense spending bill of $740 billion, because there were many reasons, but one reason was that there was a clause that there are many bases, the US bases and installations, government buildings, which are on the Confederate leaders, the generals and things like that. And the bill actually had a clause that those names should be changed. So that's why he vetoed it. Look, in his last days of his presidency, he was so powerful. Although after losing the election, any president, past presidents, they mellow down, but not him. He actually became more aggressive, more defiant, and he sort of beat that Trump to that limit that his followers were motivated enough to go and attack the parliament. And you heard their slogans. They were saying, "Hang Mike Pence." And there's a guy who has now been arrested who was with an assault rifle, and he sent a message that I am going to put a bullet in Nancy Pelosi's throat.
Exactly.
You know, this is the kind of sentiments, and this all because of those 4 years of storm which Trump built all these 4 years, and this was the crescendo of that. And it's by a stroke of luck or bad luck for Trump that he lost the election. But his actual agenda was to unfold in the coming term, which he could not. And he couldn't swallow, and his followers could not swallow. And I think they will still wait for the next presidential election when he can again resurrect himself.
If he is not impeached.
That is right. And that is
Provided
what
he is not impeached,
this last one, I think he overstepped finally. Otherwise, before that, he was confined to the maximum stretched limits of political and legal framework. But this time he overstepped, and he's going to suffer, perhaps, looks like.
He's again touched the hot
Yes.
oven. Let's see what happens.
That's
Coming to you, Ambassador Saab, now talking about Trump being charged with impeachment count as FBI warns of armed protests. I mean, that is something which we have never witnessed before. Protests, yes, people do that, but the kind of protests which could be seen in the coming days are surely going to be very violent. The acting head of the Homeland Security, Chad Wolf, also resigned. Prior to him, a couple of other resignations from the Secretary of Education, from the Secretary of Transportation, they all resigned as well. Now, it seems that Donald Trump is losing on daily basis. He's losing the strength. People are talking about his impeachment, and he could be impeached. And then the kind of threats his supporters are giving to Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, or the President-elect Joe Biden, or the Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, a lot is happening. Where is it leading United States of America that always claimed to be the oldest democracy, and they would always preach other countries to follow their footsteps, sir?
Well, Professor, you have yourself said it, and the answer lies in your question. And I think it's a sad moment in the American parliamentary history, in American politics. And as you rightly said, that they used to be the moral, champions of democracy, human rights. And that has received a big setback with President Trump refusing to accept the results of the polls. Now, even technically, he has lost. And if he insists on that, then morally, America has lost the elections. And America has lost its case to be the democracy. And that would also now, in the international arena, will be questioned whenever America would want to talk about democracy, or they would talk about human rights. So then I think President Trump's actions would be very much there to embarrass the United States as a country, as a world leader. And more importantly, when you talk about impeachment, now apparently they will be invoking 14th Amendment of the American Constitution, which prohibits anyone engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the U.S. from holding future offices and all that. And but there is a caveat. I think while Speaker Nancy Pelosi had warned about going for the impeachment, and they may go, in fact, they proceed. But when you talk about Senate, still the Democrats don't have overwhelming majorities. They don't have two-thirds majority. For that, they will be needing 17 votes from the Republicans, apart from 50 votes of the Democrats. So they would, in all, they will be needing 67 votes. It is because of the clear divide between Democrats and Republicans. I don't see this happening anytime soon, unless I think the moral aspects of the Republicans is invoked, and then they, in fact, side with the impeachment. And more importantly, it will be time-consuming process. It is not going to happen before 20th of January.
Correct.
So it will spill over to President-elect Joe Biden's presidency. And right now, the United States is faced with humongous problems, especially with COVID-related performance of President Trump. In fact, on COVID-19, America again has lost its leadership in the world. And it has now been given to the Chinese because now China is leading the charge as well as, tackling the COVID-19 is concerned. And this is, I'm not saying this, American commentators invariably, they feel embarrassed that President Trump's administration could not do much. So in my view,
Ambassador, there is another very important point. I mean, since you mentioned about that, I would like to put this question to you, that when you say that Chinese are leading in every way, today I was reading a very interesting article, and that said that the Indians are working on war footings as far as developing the virus is concerned or distribution of that particular vaccine is concerned. So they will be able to distribute around 300 million, just imagine 300 million, 30 crore vaccines. That is still not enough for even 22% of their population. But what I'm saying is at least they are also working. When it comes to America, there are a lot of ifs and buts. Do you think, sir, when we talk about this trade war or the Cold War going on between China and the United States of America, and what all we witnessed during the last couple of months, and especially a week ago, that is in fact going to erode the American position, and that concept of being the superpower or the #1 country in the world won't be there anymore? And instead of the American replacement, which is obviously the Chinese, taking place in say another 10 years or something, that would be done in a couple of years, I would say, from now.
Faisal, now there is an interesting paradox at the moment. On one hand, we talk about democracy, but here now Chinese have come up with their meritocracy. While Americans were critical of Chinese political system, now China is in fact telling them that it is basically their meritocracy which has pulled out almost 800 million Chinese out of poverty. Now you have to compare that and then speak in praise of democracy. Secondly is on when you talk about COVID-19, again, part of the human rights. Because Chinese companies and China as a state, in fact, is coming out and will be helping the developing countries in coping up with this coronavirus.
All right. While back to you, Ambassador Saab, on that we've been joined in by Sajid Tarar Saab from USA, and he is representing the Republicans here. And let me put a few questions to him. Tarar Saab, thank you very much, sir, for taking out your time and talking to PTV World.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me in your show. Thank you.
Now, sir, since everybody these days is talking about what is happening in the United States of America, what all we witnessed the other day, the way the Capitol building was stormed, and now new threats emerging that most likely in the 50 capitals as well as the Washington, D.C., there is a very high probability of armed protests. There could be violence, there could be anything. And since this absolute divide is very obvious, the fault lines regarding the polarization within the society of USA is the writing on the wall. What do you have to say regarding that, sir?
Yes, America is facing a huge political crisis since not recently, since almost last 8 years, since Barack Hussein Obama's period, when the Charlotte, when the Baltimore, when the Ferguson burned on a racial basis. And if you Google his appointments, most of his appointments, they were race basis, and he intentionally snubbed the whites, and they feel they were underprivileged. They felt like they were underserved, and then later on, they were accusing Donald Trump that he has ignited something or he has divided the country. But the country is divided since last 8 or 10 years now. And during the last 4 years, what happened? They never accepted Donald Trump as the president of the country. They created the Russian collusion hoax.
I think Barack Obama is considered to be one of the most articulate president's
If you
very
allow me
sensible.
to finish it, I know it's your show, but if you allow me to finish, I'm not asking your opinion about Obama, but let me finish my chain of thought. You will break it and I won't be able to justify what I'm planning to talk about. Whatever Obama is, it is. But the thing is this, I wanted to talk what is happening today about the division. I'm just giving you the historical background of this division.
So my point now, if you allow me, can I put you another question, sir? Are you done?
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay, now the point
I'm not done.
is-
I'm not done. But you interrupted. Matter of fact, you interrupted, and I have lost my chain of thought. But yes, you go ahead. It's not justification that
Well,
to telling people what is the historical background. No, what is the historical background of the political crisis? What is happening today? It didn't happen in one day.
So whatever happened the other day when the building was stormed, 5 people got killed,
Yes.
including 1 police officer, and 60 of the police officers, they were
Okay, let me
taken to the
finish.
hospital
Lord,
because they were
let me
injured.
finish this 5 people. Let me finish. The police officer was not killed in the act. He has had a heart attack, and now they are putting it at, with the situation. And the thing is this: the 5 people got killed, or whatever you're talking about the storm. You don't see the America burning since last 4 years or 1 year when the Portland and when the Rand Paul was attacked outside, Senator Rand Paul was attacked outside the White House by Black Lives Matter and Antifa. You don't see anything going on in this country where the crime and the socialist agenda, where the LGBT community and socialism is intentionally being shoved in our throats. You don't see that.
It seems that there is a lot of hatred within the ranks of the both parties. Now, one important point, sir, should we expect a peaceful inauguration, or should we expect some sort of chaos in all the 50 cities, including the Washington, D.C.?
Yes, 75 million people, they have been betrayed. Election has been stolen. COVID was politicized. Media and establishment is winning. China is winning. We will stand for our freedom. We will fight out for our freedom. America is not ready for socialism, and that is our agenda. And regardless, if they never accept Donald Trump for 4 years, the first Russian collusion, then the basis of impeachment was Hunter Biden's corruption. So the media, even then today, the Amazon, Google, Apple, all of them, they're together. They are part of the capitalist society, but they want to have socialism. They want to push the socialism towards the general Americans. But we will stand against them. And today, and you have seen it, the way the media has justified, the way the media is manipulating, the way the media has become an industry instead of journalism. CNN since 2016 is the biggest example of the manipulation of the minds of the voters, and we will stand against it for 4 years, regardless. And frankly speaking, whatever the situation is going on, the socialism is going to fall apart within 4 years, and we will come over. We will definitely be in a White House after 4 years.
Well, having said that, now 2 points. Once he was tried for impeachment, it wasn't done. Now again, they're talking about the impeachment. And secondly, why only Donald Trump? Why not his associates, including Ted Cruz for that matter? I think he's another person who's been inciting violence as well.
They should do whatever they feel like it, because the more they push it, the division is going to increase. Yesterday, some of the Republican senators, they have requested Joe Biden that don't do it, because the thing is this will be a more, the violence is going to come. I mean, they should do it. They should do whatever they feel like. They are arresting everybody, because the thing is this, frankly speaking, on the other side, defunding police was their agenda. They don't want to have a police. They don't want to have law and order. But when our people came to the Capitol Hill, not a single pen was stolen, not a single chair was broken. But the thing is this, they are calling them the whatever they feel like it. But what happens, if this is the standards of America, they should arrest. They should do whatever they feel like. This will increase more division. It will be good for our campaign. It will be good for our movement in the future.
Tahir Sahab, do you believe that this is the turning point in the historical discourse of United States of America?
Yes, the Black Lives Matter Antifa. The Black Lives Matter is a divisive word. It's a divisive sentence. Why every life matters? I believe every life matters. Why just Black Lives Matter? That's my question. When you have that slogan and Democrat Party capitalized on it, Democrat Party is politicizing that sentence, we have a right. Yes, it is a divisive word. We are divided. Yes.
What I'm saying is that blacks do matter, because
Well,
Look
your
at
life doesn't matter? My life
what I'm
doesn't
saying,
matter?
every life matters, but blacks are in
Yes.
minority out there,
Why
sir.
they are superior?
Blacks have been
Why they are
suppressed.
superior?
They have now.
Why?
For example, if these
Why
were
you-
the black people attacking the building, do you think the same consequences would have been there? I think more than 50
They have been,
or maybe 70 people would have been dead.
They have been attacking White House since last 4 years. Yes, they have been looting everywhere. They have been burning all the stores. They have been looting America since last 4 years. You don't see that? I'm surprised.
What you're saying is that the blacks are looting America. I mean,
Yes.
during the riots, but there are white
not
people as
only
well.
blacks.
Not only blacks. It's everybody there.
Not only the blacks. Matter of fact, a lot of whites, the whites, a lot of other people, they are with them, but they have a socialist agenda. Looting. What do you think? Looting on this is what your political statement is. The looting. This is how you protest. Loot.
You said that
and not
the
only
blacks
this.
are looting. Whites are not. I mean, I
The
can
whites are
show you
part
so
of
many
it.
visuals
But they
where
came to the Capitol Hill. What they loot from the Capitol Hill? Can you say anything? They looted this thing the other day.
That was very disturbing to see what was happening out there. I mean, even in
But
a country like
how about the
Pakistan, we
Rand
haven't
Paul?
witnessed this, sir.
My question is this: this was pleasing to you when the Senator Rand Paul was attacked with his wife outside the White House 2 months ago? It was pleasing for you? It was not to me. I was there myself. I was attacked from the right in front of the White House by the Antifa Black Lives Matter in front of the police. That's the thing. You don't want to see it. That is the issue. Because journalism is not, it's industry now. It's not journalism
Well,
anymore.
I'm sitting in Pakistan trying to figure out what exactly is happening out there.
Every single anchor I have come across from Pakistan, these days it's a fashion to criticize Donald Trump, period, all over the world. This is what is going on in America, even then on international level. It's a fashion.
Well, if somebody
It's
is
not a
going
political
to
statement.
act in a way, the anchor would be having certain questions regarding that. And secondly,
the question
when
is
a
this,
person always talks about fake news,
just
fake media, fake news, and gives
no,
shut-up calls
this
to
is
the journalist sitting in front of him,
CNN, yes, of course. CNN,
what
of
would you
course.
expect from
Because that's
the
industry.
media? To praise him?
CNN is the biggest example. They have a fear shop open. They opened up an anti-Donald Trump shop since 2016. It's industry. It's not journalism. I cannot call them journalism.
Well, what I've understood is that everything seems to be wrong other than Donald Trump. Is that what you're saying, sir?
No, I'm not saying Donald Trump is not an angel. He can make mistakes, but the thing is this: America
Definitely is
first, being
not.
a patriotic American, is not a crime. It's not a crime saying we will make America great again. It's not a crime. It's not a curse. But that's what this is. And we are not ready for socialism. And we have a right to stand against the socialism.
Well, that's your right, sir. You're an American. You have a
Yes.
right to choose whatever you wish to.
Yes.
Last
Yes.
quick comment, Tarar Saab, and that is about the law and order situation on the 20th or even prior to that. Do you expect something happening out there, sir, which would be disastrous?
Nothing is going to happen. Nothing is going to
No
happen.
armed protest.
There will be no
FBI
violence.
FBI
no violence.
says that
there will be
they have
protest.
reports.
FBI is collided. FBI it's a Barack Hussein Obama appointed people. They're still in FBI. They have been working against Donald Trump last 4 years. And frankly speaking, I tell you this: Republicans, people, conservatives, they cannot be violent. They will protest, but if the police intentionally in some states where the Democrat governors are, if they intentionally do something to ignite something, of course it's going to happen. Otherwise, we are peaceful people, we are educated people, we are sensible, and not only this, we are very patriotic Americans.
And then the statements
That's the
come out
definition of
that
Republicans.
certain Republican protesters want to shoot Nancy Pelosi, or they want to harm Joe Biden, the president-elect, or the vice president-elect Kamala Harris. What would you make out of that?
Of course, I mean, so that they have been trying to say that several things against Donald Trump last 4 years. They have been burning America, not only saying it, they have been proving it practically. But how many cities have been burned by Republicans? None. Zero.
Yet to see, sir. A few days left. Let's see what
Thanks.
happens, and definitely we'll be
Looking
talking to you after the 20th.
My
Look
pleasure.
after yourself, Tarar Saab. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Pleasure.
You heard. What do you make out of it? Tarar Saab is one of the spokesperson of Donald Trump. He's a Pakistani by origin, but lives in America and holds the American passport. Sir,
I just said that the whole Republican Party is benumbed. They are so enamored by Trumpionics.
they still believe the election was stolen.
So this was very categorically, you know, if people of that stature, of that status, have this much of venom, then what an ordinary person, a man from the street, would feel, because they need just a little bit of ignition and they are ready to burst. And this is what we saw, and this is not the end of it. This may sort of multiply in future, and the anger, because the anger doesn't seem to be going out of them. It's actually building. This lava is
because
is
that
building.
has been inculcated in
Exactly.
the mind.
So I hope some saner voices from the GOP come up. The
Nancy
vote.
Pelosi, for example.
That's right. This you know, as far as the present situation, ground reality is concerned, what the Democrats are trying is to move a resolution asking for Mike Pence to sort of declare this.
But sir, Trump has said that, well, he is going to work till the 20th. There are no chances that he is going to resign, and they want to work together.
That's right. So Mike Pence has 24 hours to either act on that, or if he doesn't, then these guys will move the article of impeachment. And let me also clarify that everybody knows that it cannot be actioned within up to 20th. They know it. The Democratic Party knows it. But in fact, they don't want this resolution to be quickly moved over to the Senate. They will hold it, because for any incoming American president, the first 100 days are very important. They are closely watched by the media, by the international observers, and in that, the incoming president sort of defines his policies, and he sort of takes certain steps which would sort of continue during the rest of his presidency. So they don't want the focus of Joe Biden. Firstly, they don't want to make him partisan, because Joe Biden has a task on his head to sort of unite this deeply fissured and deeply fractured US polity, which is so highly polarized that we have never seen such polarization in any other country.
But Taran Sahib was saying that this polarization was not during his time. It was there much before, when Obama took charge as the president, as the 44th president of USA.
Look, there are two parties, and always there are different point of views, but they are not so vociferous. They are not so sort of die hard and so sort of expressed in with such venom and vigor as we saw it now. And this is what is dangerous, because in democracy, difference of opinion is a part of democratic principle. But the things go to a wrong direction when you bring the arms and violence into it. So long as you express your differences, it's okay. But once you back it up with violence and you want to enforce what you believe onto others, that is where the trouble starts. And that's what is happening to America. And I hope America has been a great democratic country. I mean, it has upheld the
preacher of democracy.
Preacher, I said high priest. I mean, sitting on the highest chair of democratic stool and giving diktats to the whole world to be more democratic and do more. But I think they need to put their house in order. And I am surprised Mr. Tharer was just a representative of the Republican Party sentiments. This is what generally...
Actually, more of Donald Trump's representative.
But that is actually backed by 74 million Americans. And this is more than any US president so far, barring Joe Biden. No past president has claimed so many votes as this losing president has.
Despite losing. Just
right.
Imagine, the second highest number of votes ever gathered.
And Faisal, I tell you,
in the history of
US
elections.
I am very clear in my mind when I think about Trump's machinations, the Machiavellian machination that he installed during the last 4 years. The real Trump was yet to come out. He would have come out in his all true colors in the next 4 years, which he didn't get it. So, but he's still able to take his views and his way of how the America should be governed to an extreme end. And for Joe Biden, it will be a very difficult task to sort of mend these fissures and fractures. So, what Democrats are trying now is to sort of move this article of impeachment and then wait for at least those 100 days to pass and then send it to Senate, because Senate cannot act unless
there is a
this
procedure.
comes from. Yes. So they will wait.
Now,
and today's vote will be very important, because on the impeachment, it will be tomorrow, in fact. It will be very important.
Wednesday, yeah.
Yeah, because then we will come to know that how many Republicans have broken rank, because some of them have. At least
Definitely.
At least two have spoken that the Trump should resign.
And there would be so many other following.
That's right.
Yeah.
So if there are some significant number of people from breaking rank from the Republicans and supporting the Trump, then you could expect that something. And let me also tell you that when that the stampede took place, when that attack on Capitol took place, after that, when things were the order was restored, did you see Mitch McConnell's face? It was hung so low, and he was actually not condoning like his other Republican mates. He didn't condone those actions.
Yep.
And he said that we are here to sort of practice Constitution, and nobody can sort of deny us that.
Absolutely.
You know?
Now, Durrani Saab, since this was an act of aggression, or you may say this is an act of violence on the Constitution of the United States of America, nobody ever thought that this sort of visuals you would be seeing and Capitol building would be under attack. Now, my point is, sir, the tone of the Republicans, and especially those who are very close to Donald Trump, that tone seems to be pretty aggressive. Do you see some sort of violence taking place, people being picked up by the law enforcement agencies, or for that matter, some arrests taking place as well, to make sure that everything is hunky and dory on the 20th of January? Or you see things getting out of control? Because if, just imagine, I'm not talking about the 75 million people coming out on the roads, but even 1% of those people, if they come out, that is going to be a huge number. And what if they are armed?
I don't think so. Reason is that it is for the first time any American president is refusing to accept the results of the polls. This is unusual. They claim to have got 75 million votes. So it did happen during Hillary Clinton's time also. She only lost on technical basis in the states. Otherwise, she was winning the popular votes. This is not the case with President Trump. So in this manner, I think he has introduced an element of, in fact, hatred in politics, which is quite dangerous for the United States, and which is what we are witnessing at the moment. The gentleman who was speaking, and who I think his name is Mr. Tar, he talked about whatever it was, all American domestic politics, and he was quite critical of the blacks and others. But in the international arena, Mr. Trump, in fact, isolated the United States. His isolationist policies, in fact, he promoted unilateralism in international politics. He withdrew from the climate agreement, Paris Agreement. He withdrew from many other like JCPOA nuclear agreement with Iran. So in that manner, and then his disdain about the international politics, he withdrew from WHO at a time when the world was facing problems because of the COVID-19. He in fact raised the temperatures with China. He talked about he in fact injected the Cold War fever into the world politics. So this is something which in fact would have harmed the entire world, because we all have come to know about the United States that when it sneezes, the world catches the cold. So here lies the world superpower. And now when we talk about impeachment, and he does not accept the results of the polls, and he is holding the nuclear codes, and God forbid, so what can happen? We still have 1 week. So this is what I want to say.
But Ambassador, please clear one thing. Please clear me one thing. This same, in fact, question was asked in some other program, I think on CNN or somewhere. Now, Nancy Pelosi a few days ago, in fact, spoke to the top general in the United States of America, and being the speaker, she did that. And then she also spoke that, you know, this man cannot take any unilateral decision on his own. It has to go through a procedure. Now, a point is, sir, that obviously everybody was thinking that, you know, Donald Trump during the last maybe 10 days or 2 weeks could attack Iran. You think that particular threat has been eliminated now, or you believe that any unilateral decision will not be taken seriously by the other people who will actually be a part of the operations?
Well, I mean, you can expect anything. He would be president till 19th of January. So this is something very dangerous. But of course, I think with regard to democracy, I think United States, in fact, they have traditions. And I don't think that the United States armed forces are going to be part of the undemocratic exercise. Given the history of United States Armed Forces and given the history of the United States, even while passing through the Civil War period, longest civil war in any country you could have imagined, which ultimately turned out to be Democrats. So in that respect, I think the institutions in the United States are quite strong. They will survive this shock, but of course, whatever Mr. Trump has done, its impact is going to stay for some time to come. Yes.
Well, Ambassador, thank you so much for your time and for your comments. Pleasure having you, Commodore Saab. And that's all we have for this up. I'll see you inshallah tomorrow. Till then, you take good care. Khuda Hafiz.